Right. We are in Romans chapter 6. And as I mentioned to you all, we will do very little reviewing since we have the recording posted up and emailed out to you. So if you don't know where we are, look back at last week and then you'll be able to catch up. Romans chapter 6. We, just as a point of clarification, Paul starts out in Romans chapter 6, continuing the thought that he had from the 5th chapter. In the end of the 5th chapter, he says, where sin abounded, grace did much more abound. And so he asks the question, he says, should we continue in sin that grace may abound? Now, let's make sure we understand what Paul is saying in that end of the 5th chapter. Wherever there was a lot of sin, God sent a lot of grace. Can we appreciate that statement? Do we appreciate that statement? What does that mean? Why do you appreciate that statement?
Because we have grace, we wouldn't be forgiven.
If it wasn't for grace, we wouldn't be forgiven. You won't really appreciate that statement unless you have gone to the Old Testament and even some in the New Testament where you see where God has, when people messed up, God took care of them right there on the spot. Y'all remember Ananias and Sapphira? Speaking of the New Testament. What chapter was that in Acts? About the 5th chapter? Was it about the 5th chapter? Ananias and Sapphira. You remember when they had, I think it was the 4th chapter of Acts where the people were struggling financially, and so they brought and they sold land and they sold houses and they brought the proceeds and put it at the apostles' feet. And then Ananias and Sapphira came and they had sold some land. They brought some money, but they decided they were going to keep some back. Y'all don't remember that story? Okay, they decided they were going to keep some back. And so when they brought the money and Ananias came first, the husband came first, and he set down what they had sold their property for. And he was asked, is this what you sold it for? He said, yep. He lied because they decided they'd keep some back. And you know what? He died right there on the spot. Okay? Yeah. All right, now watch this. Then his wife comes and they ask her, is this what y'all sold the land for? She said, yep. And they said, see those guys standing over there at the door? Those are the same men that took your husband out and buried him. And then she died. Okay? See, God could strike us down the very moment that we see him. I paused there so y'all could think about that for just a minute. Because that's when you hear Paul say in the 5th chapter of Romans, where sin abounded, grace did much more abound. That's what it's all about. But then he comes back and says, how can we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? So the question is, when did we die to sin? All right? And that's where we get into Romans chapter 6. For he says, therefore, we are buried with him by baptism into death, that like as Christ was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life. And as I mentioned last week, unfortunately, y'all, we don't teach about baptism the way we ought to teach about baptism. Our concern is trying to get people into the water. But it's deeper than that, y'all. It is not just about getting people so we can say we had 100 baptisms in a year. That's not what it's about. And we've got to start teaching what this baptism stuff is all about. And it really is about our being dead to sin. All right? Now, why are we even talking about this? This is a follow-on to our discussion about Legion. And I told you all that things are a little different now than when Legion was around. And I want us to understand that sin does not have to, those unclean spirits don't have to control us like they did Legion. That's why we're doing this study. Okay? Now, we have to do a little bit of reflection and reviewing, because somebody looking at this tape or this video might not have ever come to our class, right? So I wanted to do that little bit just so that they'll understand why we are talking about what we're talking about. So we went through and we talked about, again, verse 7 says, for he that is dead is freed from sin. If you are dead to sin, you are freed from sin. Sin will not control you. That's what he says. He says, he that is dead is freed from sin. All right? Now, if we be dead with Christ, we believe that we shall also live with him. Verse 8. All right? Okay, now watch this. Now we get down to verse 11 where he says, likewise, reckon ye also yourselves to be dead indeed to sin, but alive unto God through Jesus Christ our Lord. Now, here's where we ended last week. Verse 12. Let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body, that you should obey it in the lust thereof. Now there's a key word right there. Y'all remember what we said that key word was last week? What's that key word? From verse 12. What's that? No. It wasn't your. What's the key word there in verse 12? Where he says, let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body. What's the key word? Nope. 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 There you go. Don't let it. Okay, let not. He starts out, in King James says let. So the key word there is let not. All right, now watch this. What is implied when he says let not or don't let?
That you have the ability to stop it.
Say it a little louder so that it'll get on the recorder.
That you have the ability to stop it.
That you have the ability to stop it. To stop it doing what? Right there, y'all. Y'all looking at it. Huh?
Rain.
Rain. And that word reign means what? Rule. Yes. Like a king. When a king is in this over the kingdom, he reigns over the kingdom. What does that mean? What does that mean? He has the power. Thank you. You're going to be the only one talking this morning. You too. You did say something. Yeah. The king has the power. Okay, say some more so I can take it back.
Which one you elaborate on? Man?
Okay.
I got you.
Talk about this idea of don't let sin reign in your mortal body.
We are stronger than sin, but we have Christ. So, when we are weak, we are strong because God, He helps. He gives us His grace. And He, like what we learned today in church, if He loves us, He'll chasten us.
Ouch.
So,
Anybody ever got a whooping? I did a sermon one time. About those whoopings. You remember, y'all, well, he got whooping. But y'all modern kids, y'all probably didn't get, Jared, they tell me, this was before I came into their lives, but they tell me they got whoopings too. Anybody in here got a whooping before and you remember the whoopings that you got, and after the whooping was over, you were there sitting there and anybody remember that? Yeah. Uh-oh, look like I got a witness over here, Ryan.
I do this.
Yeah, you heard him say that? Yeah. Okay, but you say, Wayne, we are stronger than sin, but I'm glad you didn't stop there because, truth be told, we are not stronger than sin by ourselves. Did y'all hear him say we are stronger than sin because we have Christ? Absolutely. Okay. Now watch this. Don't let sin reign in your mortal body. Now, isn't it interesting that he uses the word mortal body? What is that mortal body? What is that? Means you die?
This temple that we have now.
What'd you say? The flesh? The temple? Right. This temple that we're in is flesh. This mortal body wants to do some things. Anybody in here ever wanted to do some things?
Of course.
You're human, of course. What kind of things do you want to do? Since you wanted to talk,
You told me you wanted me to talk. So,
What are some of the things that we want to do, y'all? Come on, real quick. have things. What kind of things do you want to have? Money, power. Okay, now wait. Oh, I'm so glad he said power. He said we want to have power. Okay, I wish that we would have that desire for power, but truly understand what is power. See, we do have a power. As the children of God, we've got a power that cannot be matched. Even, no matter what weapon is out there, we have a power that can beat that. Back in the day, children of Israel, when God took them out of Egypt, had them in the wilderness for 40 years, and the minute they walked out of wilderness, and he says, okay, y'all see that land over there, that's y'all's. But guess what, y'all? There were some people in that land already. You think those people just going to give them the land? They had to fight, didn't they? But do you not know? And some of those people, some of those places were fortified and strong. But do you not know God fought for those people? The children of Israel, sometimes they didn't even have to fight. Y'all, if you don't believe what I'm saying, go back and look. There was a time when God says, okay, y'all finna go into this town or city or whatever, right? And he says, but y'all ain't gonna have to fight. I'm gonna send these hornets. And they gonna run the people out. People didn't even have to fight, y'all. Y'all remember Jericho? Anybody remember Jericho? The walls. Jericho. What do you think those walls were there for?
Protection.
Protection. Fortification, right? How are we going to get over those walls? See, when we have this power that you say you wanted, but see, that's not the kind of power you were talking about. I know. But what I want us to see is, if we really want power, if we can connect with that power, and that's what he's talking about right here, by the way, then all we got to do, we don't have to worry about walls. Those people did what? How did those walls come down?
They marched around the wall.
Marched around the walls. How many times?
Was it 3 or 7?
Was it 3 or 7?
Something like that.
7, he says. I don't know where he got 3. He marched around that 7 times. And then they did something. And then what? They did something and then the walls came down. I don't even know. They blew the trumpets, the horns, the bugles or something, right? And then the walls came down. Any of y'all got any walls in your life? Oh, that's deep right there. Anybody got any walls in your life that you're trying to get over? How about a bad relationship? Bad supervisor? You know, whatever the situation is. Bad grades? Well, you got to study for that. You know, you need to spend some time marching around that subject, marching around that book, right? Okay. All right, but look here. He says, don't let sin reign in your mortal body. Your body wants to do some things, but don't let sin reign. That ye should what? That ye should what? Obey it in the lust thereof. See, those things that we want, and see, it's amazing to me how when we ask the question, what things do you want to do? Nobody wants to say anything, but it shows a lot of them you want to do. But y'all don't want to say it, because maybe it's because we're recording. I don't know. Cut the camera off. Yeah. If I cut the camera off, we'll be saying things like drinking, sex, drugs. You don't know about all that? No? Okay. Okay then. You ain't gonna lie in church though. I'm gonna lie somewhere else, but I ain't gonna lie in church. Okay, but he says, don't let sin reign anymore. Remember, do y'all remember? Again, Legion didn't have control. Those unclean spirits that were in him had him doing what? Cutting himself. Sleeping in the graveyard. All naked. How many of you men want to run around naked?
He said, I don't mind.
You don't mind?
I'm cool.
You cool with it?
It gets cold out there.
But this man was naked, right? All right, now, okay, Legion didn't have control. I'm trying to show y'all with this lesson that sin does not have to control us. Because if we believe that sin has that kind of control, we'll just decide, well, there ain't no need in trying to be this Christian. That's why I wanted to cover this part. Okay, now watch this. Now, bless you. Here is how, see, he didn't have control over that sneeze. We're going to tie everything into the lesson. We'll tie everything into the lesson. Okay, no, why?
What if you take his medicine?
Huh?
You take his medicine, you have control over it?
Well, does he have control over it, or does the medicine have control over it?
Neither one.
Either way. So, okay, now watch this. All right, now watch this. He says, don't let sin, okay, y'all, please don't miss the point. That word don't let or let not is critical. Because the responsibility, the choice is really where? On ourselves. Don't let sin reign in your mortal body. Now, here is how you can keep sin from reigning. Oh, I love it, the way the Holy Spirit tells you to do something or not to do something, but then he tells you how not to let it happen. Look, how does that happen? 13 says what?
Do not offer any part of yourself to sin as an instrument of weakness.
Oh, wait. Do not, what now?
Offer
Offer what?
yourselves
Any part of yourself
to sin.
to sin. No, now wait. See, y'all might have don't miss the connection. Remember he talked about a king? Let not sin reign in your mortal body. See, when you are under a king, you offer your services to that king. Y'all get that? Right. He says here, don't offer any part. King James says, neither yield ye your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin. Don't let sin use your hands or your eyes or your feet or your Lord have mercy. I didn't even have to finish that one, did I? Yeah. Look, do y'all get that? Don't let sin use any one of your members as instruments of unrighteousness. Somebody ought to want to talk about that right there. Who wants to talk about that? Nobody? We don't need to say anything else about that. It's real clear, isn't it? Don't yield ye your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin. But look here. But do what? Yield yourselves unto God as those that are alive from the dead. What dead is he talking about? Dead to sin. No, the baptism part is in there. We've got to realize that this baptism, the reason we were baptized, the reason we were buried was because we were dead. See, we died. That's what you do with dead stuff. You bury it. If you don't bury something dead, what happens? It stinks. Well, even if you bury it, it stinks. Remember Cain slew Abel and buried him, and he still stunk. That's why people, isn't it interesting that God created our bodies like that? I don't care what you do, you can kill somebody. You can bury him, but God still made a way for people to know. That's why we can't get away with stuff. Even if we get away with it with man, God still knows. Lord have mercy. Okay, so we are dead. God, yield yourselves unto God. Who's the king? Who's supposed to be the king? Okay, do you see the position that he puts us in? Do you see the position that we are in because we were buried with Christ? Okay? So Christ is now the king, right? Not sin. Okay, watch this. So instead of using and yielding our members as instruments of unrighteousness, we ought to yield our members as instruments of righteousness to God. What does that look like?
Bearing good fruit.
Bearing good fruit. Watch this. Do you see how that ties all the way back to the lesson we did on the parable of the sower? You're in good ground, so you're doing what? Bearing fruit. You see how that works? Okay, so if we were to pause right here and say, okay, this past week, what kind of life did you have what kind of week did you have last week? Remember, I challenged y'all last week. Anybody remember that challenge I gave y'all last week? Anybody remember? See, I know you didn't look at the video. I know you didn't look at the video, because if you looked at the video, you'd know what that challenge was. I challenged you last week to yield yourselves unto God instead of using your members and yielding them unto sin for unrighteousness. So what kind of week did y'all have last week? That's awfully quiet in here.
I had a good week.
You had a good week? You yielded your instruments to God?
I ain't yielding to sin.
Oh, okay.
But I could have done better as far as, prayer and, opening my Bible.
Okay. All right. Okay, but you didn't yield them to sin. That's goodness. What's that?
Not that I would call it.
Not that you recall. Okay. But that was a challenge for you all last week. All right, watch this. For sin shall not have dominion over you. What's the whole purpose of this lesson? Somebody remind me?
Servitude to God.
The whole purpose of this lesson is to prove that sin does not have to control us like the unclean spirits were doing legion. So he says, for sin shall not have dominion over you. How will sin not have dominion over you?
Don't let it, and you offer your members to serve God.
Oh, two things. Number one, you don't let it. And number two, yield your members as instruments of righteousness to God. Look for opportunities to glorify God. And when we do that, we will not sin.
But we got to look for the opportunities.
We got to look for the opportunities.
So we just can't, you can't just not let it and then just sit there and just be yourself like all day.
That's goodness.
Because like if you wait around for it, like you might wait around for it.
What's that? Say that again.
Because if you wait around for it, you might wait around and go around thing.
Yeah, watch this. Have y'all ever heard the old folks say, how did it go? Something about the devil's workshop? What? An idle mind is the devil's workshop. Have you ever just been sitting somewhere doing nothing? Really, seriously. Have you ever just been chilling?
That's like good time.
What's that?
So that's good time.
That's good times right there. Okay,
You hardly get to do that.
you hardly get to do that. But when you do, what happens when you do? What? Say that again? Your mind wanders, y'all. See? And that's why I so appreciate this idea that you can't just say, I'm not going to let sin reign, but I've got to then give my members over to God as instruments of righteousness. I can't just sit there and chill, because the minute I just start sitting there and chilling, my mind begins to wonder. I wonder what it's wondering about.
Maybe I should have company.
Maybe I should have company. So I'm going to call Trent.
Not that.
Yeah. Did y'all hear that?
Trenticia.
Ooh, she must be ugly. Trenticia.
I was just going with that.
I know, right? Right. Yeah. But y'all see, y'all see, he made the point. Do y'all see that? Ryan says, see, what Ryan really admitted to is that she's been just chilling sometimes. Not doing any good, just chilling. And then she said, all of a sudden my mind started to wander. Yeah, that's why. Y'all, that's why we gotta not only just not let, but we also have to look for opportunities to let our members be used by God. Oh, that's deep right there, y'all. Don't just sit there and chill. Yesterday, Lord have mercy, I stayed up too late. My wife went out of town, and I had the bed out to myself. You know, I've been struggling to sleep. I get used to sleeping by my wife. You know what I'm talking about. I hope nobody else in here knows what I'm talking about. Hello. Okay, so anyway, I stayed up looking at TV. Y'all tell. It was like 1:30, 2 o'clock. Reggie. So yesterday, I laid in bed. I slept till 11, knowing I had stuff to do. That power steering pump on the car went out, so I'm gonna have to. Guess what? It didn't get done. It didn't get done yesterday. I just fought with it this morning. Power steering pump ever gone out on y'all's car? Lord have mercy. Yeah. Okay, but anyway. Okay, look, you can't just not let sin, because y'all, sin has a way. We're gonna show that. Ooh, what time is it? What time? Somebody, who got time? Okay, golly, it's time to go already. Okay, watch this. All right. For sin shall not. Oh, by the way, Milton, you know something about law, don't you? You know a little bit about law?
Through association.
Through association, right. Mm-hmm. Your wife is an attorney, right?
Yes.
Okay, now, they tell me this word shall is the strongest word in the English language. Shall not. Meaning what? It won't happen. Sin shall not have dominion. What is dominion? Rule over you. How many of you all have ever felt like sin was ruling in your life? Anybody? At one point in time. But it didn't have to. It didn't have to, and it does not have to. Y'all don't have to worry about being like Legion. Sin shall not. How shall it not? By doing what we just said. Don't let it. And use your instruments for righteousness. Reggie, look like you want to say something. Okay, all right. You sure listening deep, boy. Boy, it look like that. He's saying some good stuff right there. All right then. Right? You ain't got but one mouth and 2 ears, so you're supposed to listen twice as much as you talk. Lord have mercy. Well, how come I'm doing all the talking? I don't know. Okay, I'm the teacher. All right, now watch this. Watch this. For we are not under the law, but under grace. Remember we talked about that grace? What then, he says, verse 15, shall we sin because we are not under the law, but under grace? God forbid. Know ye not. Ooh, watch this right here. This is strong right here. Know ye not? Don't you know? What? That to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are, to whom ye obey. Somebody speak to me on that.
Does that kind of sound like that is your God? Like, what is that trying to hit on?
Somebody have another version other than King James?
Mine says, don't you know that when you offer yourself to someone as obedient slave, your slave is the one who obeys.
Okay. Now, explain that.
If I give myself up to Satan, then Satan is my ruler. If I give myself up to God, then God's my ruler. I won't know it unless I know my deeds.
Right.
Whether good or bad.
Yeah. Whomever you obey, you are a servant to that one that you obey. Ooh, it's quiet right here, Reggie. Y'all thinking about that or what? Y'all processing that? Watch this. What was her name? Trentisha. Okay. Okay, so Trentisha, I know you did. Okay, you trying to do right. Look, you trying to do right. You trying not to let sin reign in your mortal body. But Trentisha calls you and says, hey, Adrian, won't you come over so we can finish where we were started the other night?
Now I gotta find out who I'm serving.
Right. That is the point where he has to decide, whom am I serving? Trentisha or God? Do y'all see that? Watch this. Let's take it out of the girlfriend, boyfriend realm. You got some homies you're hanging with. You got the car. All right, they call you. You trying not to let sin reign in your mortal body. Right? You sitting there chilling, trying to be right. But your friends call you, Milton, and say, hey man, what you doing? You know that's a loaded question right there, right? Right, Ryan, you know that. What you doing? I had coffee, so I don't want to coffee breath, y'all. All right. Say that again.
You gotta answer that question with something, you're doing something important, so they won't ask the next question.
Okay, right. Okay, if your friends say, what you doing? You know what they really saying is what?
What you trying to get into?
Yeah.
Can you help me with something?
Forget about what you're doing. Really what they're saying is, forget about what you're doing. I want to do something. That's what they're saying. Right, Gary? You ever had friends say, what you doing? Gary, what you doing? And what you say? Chilling. Right? Don't you say chilling? Okay, now see? Remember we said a while ago? You can't be just chilling, because the minute you start chilling, Satan is going to make your mind start wandering. Now, he'll either do it through your own head, yeah, or he'll have a friend call you to start getting your mind to wander. Okay. Anybody in here ever had your homies, you either riding with them or you are driving, and they decide they're going to get into something bad? Anybody?
Family member,
Not even family member, not even friends. Okay. How bad was it?
Oh, it was bad.
It was bad. They were bad? How bad was it? What did they want to do? Oh.
They were trying to bother. Well, this man, she was underage. Like, this man was trying to bother her, who was way older than her, and she told us we were going skating.
Oh. So she wanted y'all to go so she could go and meet and rendezvous with this man. Lord have mercy. See, look here. Whoever you obey, you are their servants. And all these years, y'all, our ancestors had to fight this slavery stuff. And here we are, going right back into it. Does that make sense? Milton, look like you want to say something.
Just adding to that, of our own free will, of our own volition, we go back into it.
Milton, I sure appreciate that. Look, our ancestors had no choice. Do y'all get that? They didn't have a choice. And y'all, I've been to Africa. And I was in that part of Africa where they actually loaded the captives into the ships. I was on that shore. I saw the castle where they used to keep them down there in the dungeon. I was in that dungeon. I smelled it. It still smells horrible. Y'all, I was there. They had no choice. Okay. Knowing what you know about slavery, how many of you would volunteer for that? Anybody in here would volunteer for that? Okay, but watch what Milton, through the Holy Spirit, just said. That we, of our own free will, volunteers for slavery. Was that you? See, he is processing. He's thinking over there. Look, why would we? You know they used to beat people? Anybody ever engaged in sin and ended up getting beaten? See, like you said, the sermon this morning, that's exactly what he's talking about. Y'all watch when y'all get there. Okay. Time to go at it.
Satisfaction in it.
What's that?
The only difference is we find satisfaction in it.
We find satisfaction in what we're doing. Ooh. Okay, watch how this works. Watch this. I hate to skip this part, but just to make the point. Look down at verse 20. For when ye were the servants of sin, ye were free from righteousness. Pause right there. Do y'all get the impression that sin and righteousness can't dwell in the same place? Do you get that? See, he says, when you were the servants of sin, you were free from righteousness. You can't have them both. It just can't happen. But watch this. To your point. You said we did what? You said what now? We had what? Found satisfaction. Yeah. Ignorance is bliss. Okay. We had satisfaction when we were doing those things. Look at what he says in verse 21. What fruit had ye then in those things whereof ye are now ashamed? For the end of those things is death. Look, if you ever when you engaged in sin, it felt good while you were engaging. Okay, I know we're on camera. Nobody wants to. I see a couple of heads nodding. Y'all, okay. But look, we enjoyed it. But then, did you feel the shame afterwards? Oh, man. When you are a child of God and you sin, even, I don't care how good it was, whatever it was, and then afterwards you start thinking about what you just did, man, there's some shame. That's what he says right there in verse 21. He says, for the end of those things is death. But now, thank God for the but now. But now, being made free from sin and become servants to God, see, that's how you get away from that being a slave to sin by becoming a servant to God. Ye have your fruit unto holiness, and the end, everlasting life. Remember, if we have been planted together in the likeness of his death, we shall be also in the likeness of his resurrection, right? Okay, now watch this. Verse 23 says, and we'll end right here. For the wages of sin. What are wages? What's that?
What you have to pay.
What you have to pay. No.
No, the payout.
That's the payout. Yeah. Like, if you have a job, at the end of the week, or at the end of the 2 weeks, or at the end of the month, depending on where you work, you get some wages. Right. Those wages come because what?
You work.
Because you work. Did y'all see it right there? When we sin has some wages because we work. Oh, yeah, that's good right there. Yeah.
You work for the wrong person.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not the good kind of work.
Not the good kind of work. Oh, it was good.
But we got some bad ways.
It was good. Oh, come on now. It was good. But we got some what?
It's good at the time, but it's not good when you go back and think about it.
It's not good. It's not even good when you get your wages. Because he says, for the wages of sin, death. Huh? Yeah. What'd you say? Hold on. I'm going to get that on tape. So you and Trent Leisha. Okay, you and Trent Leisha done with and work And y'all worked that thing out, didn't you? Okay, and here are the wages. Say what now? She what?
Oh, you pregnant? What?
Yeah. Oh, you pregnant? What? Oh, hold on. What's your girl name?
I had no.
Okay, but you said what now? You gave me what? You see those wages? Do y'all see those wages? Okay, now, no, watch. Wait, don't miss this. Okay, for the wages of sin is pregnancy, STDs, lost job, jail. Watch this. What? Car accident? Okay. Yeah, if you've been drinking and or drugs.
Shamefulness.
Okay. Shamefulness? Yeah, because everybody know your business. She done put your picture, your instrument of unrighteousness on Facebook. Y'all know I'm crazy? But tell me that ain't happening. Tell me that's not happening.
You have the family on Facebook, man.
Okay, no, yeah, your whole family on Facebook. Look, done shared the post. Now everybody see it. Tag you, yeah.
1.6 thousand.
You know, look, y'all. I'm doing a weekly video that I'm trying to show people a good way, a different way of looking. And I ain't getting no shares. I ain't getting a whole lot of views. I told my wife, look, you know what? I think I'm gonna start beating you on these videos and then watch us blow up. Y'all know I wouldn't beat my wife because I don't have to deal with Jared. Okay, but watch this. So we just talked about all of that, all of those wages, Reggie. But look what he says. But the gift of God is what? Eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord. You can suffer the shame. You could suffer a car wreck or lost job or pregnancy or STDs or, watch this, you could even die physically. That could be the wage of your sin. The wages of sin is death. The death that he's talking about is a spiritual death. It could be physical as well. Okay? But he says, and don't y'all like that but? See? Look, the whole time he's been talking in this 6th chapter, he's been comparing two different situations. Serving sin or serving God. Which is it? And then let's go back to the question. How can we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? And if y'all think we're done with this, wait till you get to chapter 7. Chapter 7 is a hard read, but y'all got to read it this week. Okay? So y'all don't even have to look at the video to know what the assignment is for this week. Read chapter 7 of Romans. Oh, it's powerful. Okay? Now, I got to say this. We can come to the point to where sin does control us, even though we have this ability to not let it. And there's a reason we end up there, and we're going to show you that. It's also in Romans. I'm not going to tell you where, but it's also in Romans. All right? Any prayer requests? Let me turn the thing.